AM show understands that today the government plans to announce its next steps of the SmokeFree 2025 plan. The goal is to slash smoking rates down to just 5%. Currently, it's sitting at around 11%. Well, for more on this, I'm now joined by anti-smoking advocate Hone Harawira. Good morning to you, Hone.
Morning.
Just over 3 years away is 2025. They're leaving this a little bit late, aren't they?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to the Minister for restarting the SmokeFree 2025 campaign. And yeah, it's made a lot more difficult for her because it's been sort of hanging around doing not much over the last few years. But yeah, good on him. Just got to get started. And I think the real thing is not to say, oh, it's going to be too hard. Let's push it back to 2030. No, let's stick to 2025 and just work harder.
What do you think we're going to see in the announcement?
Well, I haven't seen the paperwork yet, even though I'm on the Minister's Smoke-Free Action Plan Committee. I've been party to the discussions, but I haven't seen the final documents. What I'd like to see, some of the things I'd like to see are, one, prioritise Māori and Pacifica and all campaigns to do with smoke-free, because a bit like COVID, a bit like health issues, a bit like everything else, Māori and Pacifica always end up getting the wrong end of the stick and end up carrying the can at the end of the day. I heard you mention 11% for the nation. I think we're still at Māori and Pacifica up around 20-30%. So a lot of work to be done there. Reduce the access, identify where they're selling cigarettes, put them into different classes. Like you've got small dairies and garages, for example, that get robbed. So those are the ones you want to say, look, next March we're going to shut down smoking. You've got until then to restock with other product, and then we're going to shut you down for that. And then, because people don't rob the big guys like Countdown and Pack and Save and places like that. So you do the little ones first and then the bigger ones later. And at the same time, you have to bring in tobacco and vaping product sales venues. So because it's an addiction, it's not just something you can take away. It's an addiction, and people need to be helped get through this. So you've got to have approved retailers where people can buy, although a lesser number and lesser as we go through until 2025. The key to the exercise is to make sure that we are dealing with the addiction as well as handling the problem.
Yeah, and it's a deadly and expensive addiction. Hone, you just touched on it then, vaping, especially for the teenagers and that coming through. Yeah. Is that one of the solutions? Is it the right solution?
It's not a solution at all, actually. Vaping is somebody's coined this term like vaping, but it was formerly known as e-cigarettes, and that's exactly what they are. They will kill you with nicotine. They will cause cancer problems, lung problems, heart problems. All of the same problems that tobacco causes are caused through e-cigarettes as well. So it is not a solution. And I think the Ministry of Health need to own up to having made a mistake on this and put vaping alongside tobacco. So by the time we get to 2025, that's gone as well, because vaping products are now owned 80% by big tobacco. So big tobacco can see that they're losing this war, and so they're trying to move on to the next planet.
Hone, what's the first thing? What's the absolute first thing that needs to happen?
Well, yeah, it is right across the board. But if it was me, I'd say two things. One, a death tax. I'd sue every big tobacco company, make them pay $1 million for everyone who dies from tobacco and vaping-related illnesses, 50% to the whānau and 50% to the campaign to stop this. I tell you, we'd be fully funded for this campaign just off that in the first year. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'd sue every one of those bastards as well. The states in the US did it and ended up with a $50 billion fund from big tobacco. We should be doing it as well. We should send a signal. We don't want tobacco in Aotearoa, and our job is to lead that fight on behalf of the whole of the Pacific.
Just a quick, maybe cheeky question for you, Hone. Did you ever smoke, and what did it take for you to give it up?
Yeah. I'm a smoker. I was a smoker until I was about 35, I think. And then an uncle of mine died. And he was a huge mentor to many of us. Māori Marston was his name. And he died from smoking, and I was so bloody angry with him that on the day he died, I walked around kicking things over and swearing and yelling and crying and just being angry with him. And by the end of the day, I was still so angry and then as I started to calm down, I realized I hadn't had a cigarette. And so I thought, oh, there it is. There's my legacy. There's the legacy that Māori Master left to me, and I stopped smoking that day.
See, Hone, you talk about prioritising, obviously, Marion Pacifica, but what about the youth as well within that group? Because I tend to find it difficult to take, the smokes off Nana, who smoked all her life, keeping the youth off it.
Yeah, well, that's again why I say go after big tobacco, because they target this stuff. And the same like, how they turn alcohol into alcopop. They're doing the same with vaping products, saying it's targeting specifically young people. And that's why I think we shouldn't just be going after smokers. We should be going after big tobacco and sending a message to them that we know it's them that are doing this, and we're going to make them pay. And sooner or later, they're going to walk out of this country and go, mate, it costs too much to be in that country. We're not making enough profit to be there. We're out. And that's the game. Get rid of them.
The checkpoints open up next week. Hone, you're going to man them when all of those Aucklanders start heading north for the holidays?
Hang on, I'll just switch hats over here. I'll be there. I'll be there on Tuesday night, 12 o'clock. We're going to have a karakia, and we've had an offer from some of the Highland band from Waipu to come across.
Fantastic.
And support us, because the communities are getting behind this. When we asked them about it, when Ruben went to see them and asked them, said, look, this is going to affect your business. They said, look, our people come first. And so if it's the same for them, it's the same for us. And if we can protect the people of Taitokerau, while allowing those to come in who are allowed to come in, who have got all of their paperwork clear and tidy, then we're happy to do so.
I'm hearing mixed messages, though. I'm hearing that because of traffic issues, the police will not be stopping every car, but that defeats the whole point of what you're asking for. So, can you tell us definitively right now, will the police be stopping every single car that comes up to that checkpoint?
I'm not exactly sure what's in the police's mind. It is our role to ensure that everybody who comes past we call it a paukorero. We leave those other words to other people. Our job is to talk to people, ascertain where they're going, give them information to keep them safe when they're travelling. We want to try to get that information to every vehicle. We want to create lanes for emergency vehicles, for business traffic like trucks, bringing food, etc., into our territory, and service vehicles. And then another lane primarily for private vehicles, and that's the one we will mainly focus. And we aim to have 10 people in the line so we can deal with 10 vehicles at a time. Our aim isn't to really disrupt public by slowing things down so that the line runs all the way back to Wellesley. It's just to try and make sure that we are as open as possible, with as much information as possible, and if we have to turn people around, that they understand why.
Anti-smoking advocate Hone Harawira, it's been a pleasure talking to you this morning.